Morning, everybody. It's about 4 a.m. I'm just sitting here drinking some coffee. Nothing too exciting happened to film for you, but at the family reunion, me and my brother-in-law and my cousins and my dad were sitting around a table, my uncles, and we got to talking about elk hunt we went on back in 2018 that I have never put on this channel. The reason I didn't put it on this channel is because we didn't get much footage of it. I thought, man, you know, it's elk season, a lot of guys are out. I've seen some elk on Facebook getting killed. And I thought, what the heck? I'll tell you about this elk hunt me and my family went on back in 2018 because it's a good story. Just don't have a lot of video footage to support it. So we decided to go elk hunting. It was me, my cousin Adam, who you guys met on the vlog, my brother-in-law Kyle, and my dad. I'd been in this spot in 2016 and 2017. I actually shot a bull in here in 2016 and didn't find it. And it was a really, really good spot. Never really saw many people in here, and always had a lot of animals, whether it be mule deer or elk. It was always plentiful in here. And if I was a half an elk hunter, I would have probably killed bulls both trips. But we get here in this area, and this particular trailhead, there's always a guy there named Terry that sits up there on the trailhead, and he lives there. He's an old rancher that I think he's retired, and just sits there and talks to elk hunters as they come and go. And I'd seen Terry a couple times in the couple years prior to going up here. Terry would always be there, and he'd always offer, if we killed one, to pack his horses in there and help us get it out. So I knew Terry. I had his phone number. I let him know we were coming up there, and he met us at the trailhead and said hi and whatnot, and off we went. Well, we ran into several obstacles on this trip. The first of which was we almost killed my dad like twice on this trip, like my cousin likes to say. So he struggled with the altitude. He wasn't quite in the shape that he didn't really do any training for this hunt at all. So it is steep terrain. It's Colorado in the mountains, and we were going in really deep. We eventually did make it in there, and he did fine. But the funny part about this trip is we were up there. We just walked in, and it's a long walk. It's like 7 miles. Like I said before, Terry has a horse to come back there if we get one. If you didn't have a horse, it's probably a dumb place to be elk hunting, to be honest with you. You have to, it's a bear would pack one out. But I mean, you could do it, but it would be a rough go at it. So we're sitting there on this mountain. We just walked all this way in, and we hear this motor running, and we're like, what the heck is that, out here? And all of a sudden we look up, and there's a kid and like his girlfriend or something on a four-wheeler on a two-track that we didn't know was there. And to come to find out, on the other side of the mountain, you can actually come in on a two-track up there. And that's what I did the next years. I brought a four-wheeler in there to get into that area a little easier. So that was kind of a funny thing that happened to us. I guess probably wasn't real funny at the time, but anyway. And then the spot was not like I remembered. Like, it was so much different, and it was because of the lack of rain they had in Colorado in 2018. And I'm talking about, it was dry. Like, all the watering holes that had been there the last 2 years was dry. Just the vegetation was dead. It was crunchy and nasty, and I mean, there wasn't any animals up there. I think we heard one bugle we were up there for several days, only heard one bugle, and that was it. Didn't see very many mule deer. And the animals just were not in there. I think it was because of how dry it was. And we started up high, and we got down into an area where we started up high, and eventually we just kind of were like, there's no elk in this area. We got to do something different. So we packed up camp, and we came down the mountain near our truck, and I don't know, sometime in there we got service or something, and to come to find out, or maybe someone told us, I cannot remember exactly how it happened, but come to find out, there had been as we were up there was a fire coming our way, and they had kind of closed down that area and made people get out, which at the time when we went in, there was no fire ban or anything. It just happened while we were in there. So we were heading out, and then we got to the truck, and there is a envelope, like a vanilla envelope on our windshield. And the first thing I ran through my mind was like, oh crap, we're going to get a ticket or something, because we were up in the mountains there when there was a fire ban, which we had no way of knowing. But we get to the truck, and sure enough, it's not anything. It's actually Terry had left us. He had been running a trail camera right by the road that we came in on, and he had a really nice 6x6 on trail camera, and he went and developed that picture. Developed, is that what you do with camera? He went and printed the picture off, and put an envelope, and then wrote a note on it, and showed us where his camera was and stuff on the note. So that was super nice of him, and we ended up hunting down by the road for a couple days, and we didn't end up doing any good there. So after we didn't see any elk there for a couple days, we've had another spot that I had never been to, but I heard it was good. It was like a 3 or 4 hour drive. So we hopped in the truck and went to this second spot, set up camp. It was much easier place to hunt. There was some people there, but we pulled into the parking area, which is not really a parking area. It's just a road that goes through there, and you just pull off the road and camp off the side of the road. Got our tent set up, and it was becoming the evening, and we were like, let's go just kind of hop around in the woods, see what we see, do some scouting. And we went down this mountain because the road was on top of the mountain. We went down the mountain and found a creek, and there was some good elk sign and stuff down there. And like if I'd known now, would I like I just wasn't thinking, just dumb, We just kept walking around, which should have just backed out of there and probably went to camp and relaxed, and then went back in there in the morning and kind of set up in a decent area. But we bumped an elk, and it was just a cow and a calf, and the calf went to the left and the cow went to the right, and just by happenstance, that big cow ended up trying to come back to that calf. And I actually got a shot at that cow. And I remember, when you miss an animal, it like burns in your memory and you can't forget it. And this is probably the worst case of that I've ever had, because this was a chip shot on my very first elk. It's like 25 yards with a compound bow. And I just remember pulling back, and there was a limb that kind of went underneath her belly. Like, it was clearly not in the way. But I just remember thinking, like, I gotta make sure I missed that limb for some reason. And I was pushing up, like as I was shooting, and when the shot broke, it went like right over the top of her back and buried into a tree. I just vividly remember getting that arrow out of the tree. But I missed the elk, and the rest of the time we only had a couple more days there before our time was up. Didn't really do any good, but it was a super fun trip.
He's our pack mule.
What's that thing weigh? 6 or 7 pounds?
No, I think it's 6 or 7 ounces. What probably happened is we don't kill anything, and the nails will rip my pants. That's why he goes in his bag.
You guys are sweethearts.
And it brings back some memories. I'm glad we have the footage that we do from it. It's not a lot, but it's still pretty cool. So that's the story of my elk hunt with my family. It was a good time. We'd like to do something like that again, something less rough though, so that maybe my uncles or my dad can tag along. Hope you guys liked today's vlog. If you did, subscribe right there. And you can watch yesterday's vlog right there.